Hi there. We've reached that point in the course where all that is left is to put it all together. Let's take stock and see where we are and what we've achieved in the course so far. First, we've understood that acid-base balance is determined by conditions in the solution that are determined by a relatively small number of variables. Most importantly, we recognize that there are so-called dependent and independent variables, and that these are often confused in the more conventional acid-base literature. Stewart's model, in keeping with all models, is a simplified view of reality. However, the art of modeling, to quote the old Danish expression, is to make things as simple as possible, but not more so. I hope you will agree that Peter Stewart did just that. His model has all the explanatory power needed to understand acid-base balance. It does indeed involve many simplifying assumptions, and other scientists such as Fig and Fenkel and others have extended this analysis to account for many of these simplifications. However, Stewart's model, while not necessarily achieving the precision we require for clinical use, does indeed contain all the essential elements needed to understand this important topic. In particular, we've established that there are dependent and independent variables. In the simplified model that we've discussed in this course, there are just 3 independent variables, namely strong ion difference, total weak acids, and partial pressure of carbon dioxide. While we acknowledge the oversimplification, these 3 variables essentially set the hydrogen ion concentration as well as the concentration of other ions such as the bicarbonate ion. We then looked at the dependent variables. In addition to hydrogen and bicarbonate ion, these include hydroxyl ion, carbonate ion, and many others. The exact composition of the body fluids is highly variable and varies substantially depending on which fluid we are talking about. Gastric fluid is very different to blood plasma. However, in both cases we use Stewart's model to understand its acid-base behavior. We appreciate that clinical acid-base balance requires knowledge and judgment far beyond what is taught in this course. However, we hope that while Stewart's model, at least in the form presented in this course, should not be used directly in clinical decision-making, it will give you an insight into the mechanisms of acid-base balance that will enhance your clinical decision-making. So from me, thank you for doing the course and good luck.
And thank you from me as well.